Armed only with laptops and internet access, Kim Jong-un's legion of North Korean hackers has opened up a covert war, wreaking havoc and raking in cash. Tonight, the U.S. government is fighting back. The Treasury Department says it is sanctioning 3 North Korean hacking groups responsible for some of the most notorious cyber attacks in history, freezing their U.S. assets, denying them access to banks around the world, and prohibiting Americans from doing business with them.
It's important to call them out, name them and shame them, and apply as much pressure as possible.
The main target of sanctions tonight is called the Lazarus Group. U.S. officials say it's made up of North Korean hackers who mounted the biggest ransomware attack ever, WannaCry 2.0, in 2017. Hundreds of thousands of computers around the world were hit, even putting lives at risk when parts of Britain's National Health Service were crippled. Part of a larger army of thousands of hackers, many of whom work for an elite unit called Bureau 121, tied to North Korea's top intelligence agency.
The North Koreans have really come a long way, a very, very dangerous way in the last 2 decades. Of continuing to put resources into this, of realizing that this is a relatively easy way to disrupt South Korea and the United States and others, an easy way to get hard currency.
A new UN report says North Korea has brought in as much as $2 billion from cyber attacks on financial institutions and cryptocurrency exchanges. Kim's hackers once stole $81 million in a single heist from the Central Bank of Bangladesh.
North Korea is in the extortion business. It's in the intimidation business. And frankly, it's in the larceny business.
North Korean hackers have hit banks in more than a dozen countries, the UN report says, including one hack that forced ATMs in 20 countries to spit out cash 10,000 times in 5 hours.
It demonstrates the breadth of their human network, because they actually had to have people on location to go and gather the money from these ATMs.
Much of the cash, analysts say, goes straight to Kim Jong-un's missile and nuclear weapons programs. And they worry about what Kim's hackers will target in the future, especially if relations between the U.S. and North Korea become hostile again.
They would want to try and disrupt American command and control, especially as the U.S. military tries to bring in additional military forces into the Pacific. They would certainly be trying to, could they disrupt ports?
Emotional new comments from Otto Warmbier's mom. It's the first time we're hearing from her since it was revealed that the U.S. agreed to pay North Korea $2 million for her son's release back in 2017. Otto was 22 when he returned to the U.S. in a coma, and he died a few days later after serving more than a year in a North Korean prison. Well, the president insists no payments were ever made to North Korea, but at an event today, Cindy Warmbier says that she had known about the demand. Had she known about the demand, she would have paid it, calling North Korea a cancer on earth and their attempt at diplomacy a charade. Take a listen.
North Korea, to me, is a cancer on the earth. And if we ignore this cancer, it's not going to go away. It's going to kill all of us. And I know he was sorry he ever went into that God-forsaken place. Had I known that North Korea wanted money for Otto, I would have gladly given him money from day one. That isn't what they wanted from Otto in the beginning. First of all, they want everything they can get from anyone they take. My gorgeous boy, who every girl had an immediate crush on, looked like a monster. I swear. The look in his eyes, which I didn't know he was blind at the time, was absolute horror. Horror, like he'd seen the devil, and he had. He was with the devil.
There are few places with as much glitz and glamour, sparkle and shine as the Frankfurt Auto Show. And yet, pop open the hood on this sector and it doesn't look so good. German car exports fell 15% in the first half of this year. And it doesn't bode well for the German economy given how big a role the auto sector plays. In fact, economists this week have warned that Germany will likely slide into a recession this quarter. Now, let's look at the headwinds. You've got the US-China trade war, you've got CO2 emissions targets, and you also have Brexit, and that potentially looms large at the end of next month. And the UK is a huge market for German car makers. So I asked the head of the German car makers, what are you doing to try and stop or prevent a no deal, a hard Brexit? He says they're lobbying the government.
Yeah, we have a clear position, and we have made this very clear to the Chancellor and the whole government here in Germany. Clearly, we do want to have a Brexit, an orderly Brexit based on a deal with a good framework for our trade and for our business on one hand. On the other hand, we need to have the 27 remain as a market and unified, because at the end, if we invite others to also leave the EU, that would be even worse for us.
The big unveils this year certainly centre around electric and hybrid cars. Billions of dollars are being invested in new technology, and yet, when you look at JATO's report on global car sales last year, 90% of cars sold had internal combustion engines. Experts say lack of electric car infrastructure in cities is letting the automakers down. There are, of course, some real bright spots here at the Frankfurt Motor Show, and I think this might be one of them. This is the Lamborghini Sian. It's their first hybrid car. Now, each car costs $2.2 million plus, of course, taxes. Now, they are only going to make 63 of these cars, and you know what? They've sold every single one. Anna Stewart, CNN, the Frankfurt Motor Show.